So finally, lecture 21. So how are you going to teach grammar? Now that you've gained all this wonderful knowledge, you know everything you need to know about the grammatical rules, how are you going to incorporate that into your classes? So we always have to bear in mind that lots of our learners are familiar with grammar in theory, but they don't really understand how to apply it. So there's very little active understanding of what grammar is and how it works in a language. So basically the last thing that you want to do is teach grammar in theory, what they call teaching grammar from rules, the deductive approach, because this is how most learners will have learnt English so far. So they're familiar with rules already. You don't want to just present the students with theory and then drill them on forms and rules. Generally this just makes students bored and disaffected. So the deductive approach is to be used within reason. If you're dealing with total beginners, you'll obviously have to present them with the basic rules. But if you're dealing with intermediate and advanced learners, explaining a tense or explaining how to use adverbs in theory will not be received well. They'll say, yes, I know, but then they'll still make the mistake. So it's trying to find a way of presenting them with theory with always a context. So that's the first approach. Now the second approach, which is received more positively, is the inductive approach, which means that you're teaching grammar in context, you're teaching grammar from examples, not from rules. This is what we call communicative language teaching. So you want to be able to balance both extremes, the deductive and the inductive approach, and this can be done by using a variety of materials. You can start maybe with something more passive, so when you teach with theory, through theory, you can do that initially and then gradually go towards more context, so giving them activities once they've learned the rule or the rules, giving them activities for them to actually practice that grammatical rule. So always theory versus a larger context. Another thing to bear in mind when teaching grammar or teaching English is when they speak and when they write, you can be more or less strict. So in spoken English, you can allow for more colloquial forms, whereas in written English, you want to make sure that the grammar or that the structures used are correct. So talking about grammar exercise types, you want to present your learners with a variety of formats so as to trigger their creativity and keep them engaged. So you have the traditional choose the correct option, which is a multiple choice. They have to choose between A, B, C or D. You have exercises which we call close with a Z, close. That's basically a text with gaps. So they would have to complete the gaps, either just guessing or with various options. So it could be a mix of complete the gaps and multiple choice. So this exercise, this activity type is a great way to check the learner's knowledge of collocations or idioms, because the students need to contextualize by scanning the text. So they need to learn expressions, they need to learn verbs plus prepositions, adjectives plus prepositions, various expressions. So this is a great way of testing not only vocabulary but also grammar. So that would be what we call the multiple choice close, and the open close is the same, but it's a bit more complex because you're relying on the student's knowledge. The student isn't given option A, B, C or D, it's just literally a text with a gap. Other activity types are word formation. This is a great way to get your students to practice morphology. So basically using prefixes and suffixes and understanding connotations, positive or negative, and all the different spelling changes incurred. So the ing form, the ed and the s endings. You also have what we call an activity type, which is transformation. So this is a great way to challenge your students. This can be done as a group or also for homework. This is a rephrasing exercise. So your student has to complete the sentence with 2 to 10 words to convey the same message. So they're given 2 sentences, one which is complete and the other with a couple of words which they have to incorporate. So they have to use different structural elements. So they have to find a parallel structure, which means, phrase equivalence, but no major grammar changes. So that is a mix of grammar and vocabulary once more. It's a great way to review the passive, phrasal verbs, reported speech, comparatives, tenses, and linking words. So for those who have already taught, or for those who already have looked at the different formats of certain EFL exams, notably the Cambridge exams, there's a section called Use of English. So learners are tested on listening, speaking, reading and writing, but also use of English. And use of English is this kind of exercise where students are tested on their grammar and vocabulary knowledge. It's what we call lexico-grammatical elements.